Let's bring in Sky News Political Editor Andrew Clennell for his analysis of today's technology roadmap announcement from the government. Andrew, what do you make of the speech and the various announcements there from Angus Taylor today?
Well, I think with energy, you've got to walk both sides of the street a bit, don't you? Even in terms of the party room. And it was interesting that moderate Liberals today were really welcoming it to me and welcoming the position of the government generally on energy, including gas. So if anyone's not happy at the moment, it's Matt Canavan and the like in the Nationals. I think the Liberal party room with Angus Taylor there, the right, I think they have a minister they can trust, are pretty happy where he's landed on energy policy.
I think the right will still go through the detail, though, but we'll see what happens when Parliament returns for the budget session. I want to go to this announcement in Queensland. This is the shift in relation to those border zones in northern New South Wales. All of these changes come forward at 1 a.m. on the 1st of October. The Premier today in Queensland, she focused on the ability of people in northern New South Wales now to enter Queensland. We're talking about Byron Bay, Ballina, Lismore, Richmond Valley, Glen Innes Shires. But she wasn't so expansive about Queenslanders now, not just those around the Gold Coast, but I'm talking about anyone in Queensland, getting down to their holiday houses in northern New South Wales. And I rang around a few people in Queensland and they told me, well, this is all about votes. You know, so many people in Brisbane have got homes down there along that New South Wales coast. She's not mucking around. She's going to try and win this election by hook or by crook. Yeah,
I heard your opening. It's a very good point. I hadn't thought of it, I must admit. So it's not only that. I guess people can come from Sydney and kind of meet halfway, right, or further than halfway, but they can meet at Byron. So, and then people from Queensland can come down and then up. I heard someone in the office actually discussing that prospect today. So, yeah, it seems a political move, as a lot of this does. I think it's interesting to note that the two times that Annastacia Palaszczuk has opened the borders, and admittedly this isn't as big as last time, have involved that school holiday period. And here it occurs again. So we know the border closures are occurring because of the state election, but a little bit of a buck each way on this one. But how patently ridiculous, frankly, to be closed to Sydney for Annastacia Palaszczuk and Mark McGowan when there's virtually zero community transmission at the moment, or maybe one or two cases. There's 8 million people in New South Wales.
And that consistency point too. The Sydney-siders can go to Byron. Let's say they could infect anyone in Byron. The Queenslanders come there and they can return home without quarantine. But the Queenslander can't go down to Grandma and Grandpa in Sydney. I mean, it's just nuts. It doesn't make sense.
Well, it shows the whole policy is BS, doesn't it, frankly?
Well, it's political campaigning, right? So we're 2 weeks now from when Queensland, the state government, heads into caretaker mode. There's been a raft of new government board appointments. I mean, they do this every time. 26 new and others being reappointed, but there's 26 in the job lot today, including the wife of a former Labor Speaker and the wife of former Labor Federal Minister Craig Emerson. Now, they're spruiking that these appointments are all about getting 50% of board positions to be held by women. But, I mean, gender targets or not, there's still jobs for Labor mates, whether they're male mates or female mates, isn't it?
Oh, totally, Peter. I wish I could say that only one side of politics does this, however. I would say smarter politicians make sure they put a few appointments forward from the other side of politics to justify giving their mates jobs a bit at least.
And now, what's your story today? You've got a jump on where the job seeker and job keeper benefits will be, I think particularly JobKeeper.
JobKeeper's gone in the budget. As far as the budget papers are concerned, on October 6, Peter, JobKeeper finishes at the end of March. A lot of speculation there'd be yet another extension of it. That is not going to be the case. So it's gone from 3.5 million workers under the first test of it to 1.4 million they're expecting for the next 6 months, and then it is going to go. So that is the cliff. It's not as big a cliff as had it ended as originally planned in 8 days' time, but the cliff is coming, and we're going to see that 6.8% unemployment rate lift. It's going to be higher. It's going to be more real. But the government, they just couldn't keep spending the money forever. That's the attitude in there. I put it to someone senior, is there a chance in January or February Scott Morrison will say, actually, despite what's in the budget, let's extend it for another 3 months? It was put to me that's highly unlikely. They've decided this is the end date.
And what about all these millionaires that have been getting JobSeeker? Nearly 4,000 millionaires have been getting the payment.
Yeah, interesting. No asset test. Mind you, anyone who has a home in Sydney is a millionaire, Peter, got to tell you. Probably the same in Melbourne as well, but even if you're way out west, but these days. But I take the point. I mean, the issue is, and it always has been, if you find yourself on hard times, if you lose your job and you have a massive asset, to keep that debt balloon from going up, you should have to sell your house or mortgage your house in order to support yourself until you get a job. And I guess they'll be coming, or they're coming back to that system, and that's a good thing. You can't be giving people who are wealthy $550 a week.
Not at all, and any one of these payments have got to go when we've got debt we can't even jump over, but we'll know what that exactly is in a couple of weeks' time. Andrew Clennell, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Peter.